I am Pops, and welcome. We talk about The Mandalorian, and the question really is can the show reignite, save Star Wars from continued apathy and blandness? I mean, think about it. Andor just ended not so long ago, and you don't really feel attached or have any major emotional connection to anything that came out of it. And here we are back at Mandalorian, which really deserves the credit for reigniting even some interest in it. And worse than that was it falsely gave people hope that there was this massive movement towards nostalgia and delivering what made the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy great. And instead, we get this amalgamation, hybrid, watered down version that has delivered on the best milk toast generic digestible Star Wars and nothing that interesting. I don't know with this show where we're going to land. This is my thoughts on episode one very quickly. It opens with them smelting a helmet, having this ceremony for a youngling who's going to join their cult, their religion. And this is what's playing out here as they present this child with the helmet. You can see right here, put the helmet down. And at first, you're not quite sure who this is. They play it up. You don't know if this is a little girl. Maybe it could be Bo-Katan. This could be a young Djarin for all I know. Like you don't quite know exactly who this is. And then as the ceremony, as the helmet is placed, and the drumming had stopped, and they kind of cut around this creature, basically a giant alligator. I was so disappointed to see a mosasaur knockoff show up and attack the Mandalorians, who were for some reason having a hard time with this thing. I would think that they would know this thing is there, would know how to handle it. However, that is not the case. I will say the effects of it are not always terrible. There are some good shots and some good moments, but Din Djarin just shows up and then takes it out like a couple blasts, and yeah. So obviously it's the remnants from before. The episode's called The Apostate, and he's there speaking to the remnants of the Mandalorian, saying, "Listen, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to go to Mandalore. I'm going to bathe in the waters. Here's Grogu. Blah blah blah. This is what's happening." So, and basically, this is the way. That's what they allow them to do. So this takes about 10 minutes, and then you have this sort of very strange scene where Grogu is like watching all of the pretty lights, like just cooing, oohing and eyeing, like he's seeing something in. See, it's like he's watching the reflection as though it's something else. I don't know why. Mando was getting some rest, and then he just kind of crawls up on his lap. So I don't know if it's because he, quote, is afraid. It's not really spelled out. And he goes to Navarro, which is now like this elaborate village with commerce and markets and people and happy and all of this. There's a statue of IG-11 from the early episode. And then Carl Weathers' character comes out, and they have a little meet and greet and exchange. And they basically spend, let's see, several minutes before we get to news. They're interrupted that these pirates have shown up, and these pirates shown up to antagonize Grief. Grief is Carl Weathers' character, by the way. Antagonize Grief about going into this bar, which has now been converted to a school. And Mando's just standing there, not causing any scene, not interjecting. And this guy basically is just, he's going to completely create chaos with these pirates. And then they draw on Mando and Grief. And of course, they're all taken down quickly. And then they walk off and they return to the story like nothing happened. And they're going to discuss trying to repair IG-11 from whatever parts are salvaged here from the statue. And that's what they're going to do very quickly. They have this scene where Mando's doing it. He's able to get power on to the thing. But when it comes on, it defaults to its software of assassin mode and goes into kill mode, and he struggles to defeat it. And then the droid that's in the background, because Mando doesn't defeat it, and instead the droid knocks over a statue. Right here, see what I just yeah. So he knocks over a statue and kills it, crushes it. And their solution is to take it to these little guys, and the whole army of them who speak English sometimes, speak gibberish other time. The Anzellans are basically there to sell maybe action figures or try to be the new cute and cuddly thing. They're interacting with Grogu, who basically just wants to hug them. It's quite irritating because it's like a gag that doesn't land, but just kind of keeps going. And then basically it's like, nope, I got to go on. So he's going to, they say they need a microchip because the chip has been destroyed. If we can get the chip, it's like, well, I'll go get a chip. So now you're at like season 1 Mando, where it's just, I need this. I moved to this point. Oh, I don't have that. So I got to go on this adventure. It's adventure for adventure's sake. And I know that's what Lucas intended for Star Wars. And I did say that was part of my enjoyment of Mando season 1 and into most of season 2 was adventure for adventure's sake. But we're now on the 3rd season. And I think Jon Favreau is credited with writing this. And I felt like there's just not a lot that's changed. So, okay. So basically when he's in orbit, it's no surprise. The pirates are there waiting for him. And they confront him, and it becomes 3, which becomes 6 or 5. It's through an asteroid, and it's, Mando's being very clever with how he's setting them up. And it is a nice little space battle that lasts a few minutes. And this is the captain, the main person, this terrible mask. I think it's a practical mask. I think. I don't know. Let's see here. It's just an odd choice of a design. I don't like it, but I feel like it's like just put these masks on. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the guy. I don't like it, but I'm not sure I know why I don't like it. So he's at this point, you think, going to go off and get the microchip for the droid. Instead, he comes here. He finds no one there. Finds nothing here. He goes into this room. He finds Bo-Katan just sitting around like this alone, and then basically saying, well, because you beat me and took the dark saber, everybody left, so you go lead them. They're running around with my all of my military armada thanks to you. So yeah, she's angry girl boss in this episode. I thought she'd be interesting, and she is not, and that's the credits. So we I don't think do enough to instigate some major interest of anything that I would enjoy. Like, I can't wait to watch the next episode. I don't understand the whole point. Like, if you went through all this trouble and this emotional ending, he takes off the helmet and he gives Grogu to Luke, then you undid it. Like, the Mandalorian episode in Boba Fett was the best episode. And then they undid all this Grogu stuff by having him completely sidetrack his life, go melt down his staff, and then make this chainmail and make Grogu decide to be with him over being a Jedi. And then it's just like, oh, I'm going to return to my religion. I'm going to go and try to redeem myself. It's like, well, why? You have this kid running around with you. What are you doing? Why don't you go figure out how to take care of this kid? It's the emotional journey of all of this, the lack of maturity. It seems very selfish and narcissistic. Obviously, Bo-Katan is a complete witch. I think that it doesn't move anything forward to have him just jaunting around without any sense of like a plan. Like, the plan is so generic and primitive. I don't understand why they would choose that. And then they're basically just repeating all of these generic story plots of, okay, go get microchip, Bo-Katan, conflict with pirates. Pirates could attack Navarro, so he'll have to return, because there was this conversation briefly about being the marshal. He's like, no, I got to go be a religious person again and find redemption. It's like, well, we need a marshal. And it's just like, I'm not saying I hate any of this episode. It's just all very generic, safe Star Wars stuff. And I don't think that's what people want to see. It's not going to instigate any of the excitement. The Baby Yoda Grogu experiment has kind of run its course. I'm sure there are tons of people that are fans. There's people that are buying up stuff. Fair enough. But he doesn't talk yet. He doesn't do anything of an interest. He one time uses his force to get like a Skittle. It's like, okay. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I'm sure there's going to be haters and lovers. I think this was just a very generic opening. It's serviceable, but it's nothing that special. So there's a lot more action than there was in Andor. We had to go through 3 episodes before we had this amount of action. That's for sure. So that was better. So anyway, I'm Pops. Tell me what you guys think in the comments.